Hi everybody, welcome to the Manifold channel. Today we're going to look at how to work with example projects that Manifold publishes for use with Manifold System Release 9 and for use with Manifold Viewer. There's three types of example projects that are published. There are just fun projects which are something to use while you're learning the system, for example, how to navigate. There's example data for videos and user manual topics, so you can follow along with the user manual topic at home using exactly the same data it was used to write the topic or to do the video. And there's collections of data sources and other resources that, like image servers, which are published that are easy to use, that enhance your use of a Manifold System or Viewer. And so let's get right to it and download a few. We're looking at the Manifold System homepage, the Manifold.net homepage, and this is a typical display with a banner image that changes every day and a headline that changes every time you refresh the page. Quality, performance, value, that's definitely Manifold products. And farther down here is more information about Manifold, and these are pictures of Manifold people that change every time you refresh. For example, the guy in the middle is a Manifold user that a lot of people know, and so forth and so on. To download the examples, you can click here on the Release 9 homepage and choose Examples, or click on the Free Viewer page and choose the download link to jump into the download page and choose Examples there. Or here in the Support page, click on Support, and there's examples as well. Let's pick that one. And the ones we're going to download, let's choose the ArcGIS REST servers. That's a collection of image servers from Esri using ArcGIS REST protocol. And let's see what else we can do. We can choose, let's choose Chateau, download those. And what else? World Volcanoes I think is fun. Here we go. There's a collection of world volcanoes. We're not going to use all of these, we'll just use a few of them, but I'm just going to download a bunch so you can see how easy it is to download them. Nuclear reactors, that's always controversial, so let's pick that. That'll be fun. And let's see, the server sites, that's a goofy project. That's fun as well. We're working with the Microsoft Bing, new Microsoft Bing browser that's based on Chrome. So to look at where your downloads are, you click on the little options button here, and off screen in the pull down menu choose Show in Folder. So there's the downloads folder, and I'll select those, right click and choose Cut, and let's go to a different folder. I've created a folder here called Projects that I'll use to store all the stuff that I'm working with, and let's move them there. Let's get rid of this downloads folder, we don't need that. And now let's fire up Viewer. You don't need to use pre-built projects for Viewer. We're going to use, by the way, the free Manifold Viewer for all this, so everybody can follow along at home. You can download Viewer. It's absolutely free. It's the free read-only edition of Release 9. It opens Release 9 projects perfectly. You don't have to work with projects if you don't want. You can import your own data. For example, let's import a shapefile from Connecticut. Let's double-click on that, click Import, and bang, it's open. We've just imported shapefiles that show the open space regions in Connecticut. Or if we like, we can open one of the pre-built projects. To use one of the pre-built projects, we can choose File, Open, and move up one notch and choose a project here and click Open. For example, well, let's not do that. Or if we like, we can just drag and drop a project from Windows Explorer into the desktop, and we just chosen server sites. So what are server sites? That's probably the easiest and simplest one. That just has two layers in it, the Google Maps satellite layer and the Bing satellite layer. You can turn the layers off and on by double-clicking them. Layers to the left are higher up, so if we turn off the Google Maps satellite layer, we're looking at Bing. Turn on the Google Maps satellite layer, and that hides the Bing layer. And this has got a bunch of locations here for various things that are interesting to see. And you can choose the locations from there. We can choose them from up here in the Locations button. For example, Grand Prismatic Spring in Yellowstone is just a spectacular view. It looks really good in Google Maps. And to navigate, we can zoom in by right-clicking with the mouse button. Right-click and drag is a zoom box, so we can zoom box to that box there. Right-click and drag to zoom box to there. And you can see here's the tourist walkway with people on it. And there's Grand Prismatic Spring. To pan the map, we use the left mouse button, click and drag, and that pans the map. Right mouse, click and drag, as I pointed out, is zoom box, zoom to the box. If you want to go back to the previous layer, you can use these buttons here, just like a browser, back and forward. You can also use these zoom in, zoom out, and zoom to fit buttons as well if you like. But I'll just use these. And last but not least, if you have a wheel mouse, you can use the wheel mouse to scroll in and to scroll out. Super. So we've just looked at those. Let's look at a different project. Let's look at the nuclear reactors project. This is a slightly more sophisticated project where I'll double-click open the map. Okay, this project here has a bunch of layers to it, which is a little bit more sophisticated than the server sites layer. It has a bunch of image server layers here down at the bottom. And then at the top, it has a drawing layer, which shows dots. Those have been imported from a shapefile or whatever. And it shows labels, which have been created from the drawings label. And what we can do is, why do we have different image server layers? Because some of them provide better detail than others. So, for example, let's take a look at some of these sites. Let's look at the Beaver Valley Nuclear Generating Station. That's in Pennsylvania. And this is all the nuclear reactors in the world that are currently operational. And you can see that's what it looks like in Bing. Turn off Bing, and let's turn on Google. And that's what it looks like in Google. You can see for this particular one, it has clouds in the Google Maps imagery. So it's better to use Bing Satellite where the clouds don't cover the reactor. I'm going to turn off the Google Maps layer and stick here to Bing. Let's look at a more controversial reactor. Let's look at the Bushehr reactor in Iran that's been in the news recently. And this shows another aspect of how the different image servers provide a different sorts of data. We can see here in the Bing display that they've only just started construction on this second nuclear reactor that's adjacent. And that apparently was, although it's nice and high res, apparently that was taken at an earlier time. I'll turn on the Google layer. Than the Google layer where the construction is considerably farther along. So there's a good example of how different image servers have different kind of information content to them, with Bing having been shot this scene at an earlier time than Google. Sometimes Google shoots scenes earlier, sometimes Bing shoots scenes earlier. Let's turn Bing back on, and let's see another reason why we might want to have a lot of different image servers. Let's go to a nuclear reactor in France, and as you can see, there's nothing there to see. It's been dithered out. Why is that? That's because by French law, you're not allowed to show nuclear reactor sites from high-resolution aerial imagery on web servers. That's a national security initiative that they have, which Bing and Google both honor. So if you look at this particular nuclear power plant in Bing, it's dithered out. Let's unclick that. So now we're looking at it in Google, and you can see Google's also dithered it out. But there's alternative image server providers, for example, Yandex, where here's the Yandex view of that same power plant, which is full and high resolution. And Yandex uses satellites from India, China, and I think also the United States, which are not subject to the French restrictions. So they show you the full imagery there of the nuclear power plant. The idea is that when you have lots of different data sources that you can choose from, whether they're image servers or whether they're just simply different shape files or different terrain elevation data sets, the more different formats that you can utilize, the better the chances are that you're going to get the data that you need. And because Manifold and Viewer can use hundreds of formats, there's all kinds of options. Let's take a look at one of them from the ArcGIS service collection that we also downloaded. Whoops, I double-clicked that to make it full size. And that's this guy right here, the ArcGIS REST servers. What we've seen so far is we've seen that we can take Viewer and we can import stuff into Viewer by using File Import. We could also drag and drop a project to open that project into Viewer. Now let's learn a third way of getting data in. We'll choose File Link, and we can link a project into it. Let's move up one level and click that ArcGIS REST servers, click Link. And what it does is it creates this data source here, and this data source is kind of like it's a portal into that project. We haven't opened we haven't imported the project. All that stuff is still saying in this ArcGIS servers map project file, but we've opened up a portal into that file as if we opened the file directly. And what's really cool about Manifold format, Release 9 format, is that there's absolutely no reduction in performance. We can use everything that you see here in this linked file version, and it's just as fast, even if there's like 100 gigabyte images in it, as if it was in the local project. So let's use some of the image servers out of that project. And this one I think a lot of Esri people will find familiar. It's the Canvas World Dark Gray Base image server layer. We can drag and drop that into the map. And you can see it appears using this the characteristic Canvas World Dark Gray Base formatting that provides a really kind of neat styling. And this is a great style for a map to use if you want kind of like a simple background, especially if you turn off the labels here. You can see how there's a very simplified background, and it really makes the data points stand out quite a bit. If you like, you can use a Bezier description for Bezier format. For example, the Esri National Geographic Map server provides images in this format, which look pretty cool. That's the National Geographic style. And these are all very popular things. They're all easy to use. and there's dozens of them, and there's other images correct collections too, like hill shading and all sorts of other things. Now, what's really neat about all this stuff too is you might want to use this something like Canvas over and over in your own projects. And the way to do that is, if you like, you can save it as a favorite. To do that, you can right-click on that, choose Create, New Data Source, Favorites, and Control-click it here. It's an offer to in this pane down here. Control-click it to choose it, and then click Add to Favorites, and we've just made the Canvas World Dark Gray base favorite. And to prove that it's a favorite, let's turn it off here. Let's delete it from the map. Let's delete this from the map too. That's the National Geographic one. And then up here, let's delete that ArcGIS REST servers component. So now we're back to this nuclear reactors project, pretty much the way we started it, except that the labels are turned off. And let's say we now want to add the Canvas World Dark Gray base thing to it. We can choose New Data Source. Actually, so let's do it from up here. We can see the whole thing on screen. Choose New Data Source. And there it is. It's one of our favorites. We've added it to the favorites. With a single click, we've added it to the map, added it to the project rather, and now we can drag and drop that layers image into the map. What we've done is we've reached into the, let's move the layers, move that layer below the dots so we can see the dots. What we've done is we've created a favorite that uses a data source which was inside a Manifold project that we temporarily linked into this Viewer project. There's all kinds of wonderful things you can do like this with Release 9 and with Viewer. Download Viewer. It's perfectly free. There's no need to register. You don't have to give Manifold your email address or anything like that. There's absolutely no upsell to it. There's no advertising to it. It doesn't request any donations. You can use it for any legal purpose. You can use it for commercial reasons. You can use it for personal use. What a lot of organizations do is when they use a Viewer to explore rich projects, for example, these where there's data to them and all sorts of other things. What they'll do is they'll have at least one copy of Manifold, which won't break the budget because it's only $95, and they'll use that to create projects which then hundreds or potentially thousands of people can utilize for free using Viewer. So that's a very cost-effective solution. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Check out more videos in the Manifold page. Drill into the user manual to learn a lot more, and join the Manifold community. So I hope you've enjoyed it. We're looking forward to seeing you again. And goodbye from Manifold Land. Well, that was fun. If you want to see more, visit us at www.manifold.net. As always, Manifold delivers the world's most advanced, highest quality spatial products for GIS and DBMS at a low price that you can afford. Once again, that's manifold.net. See you soon.